to handle crazy moves. And this game I got off of KGS. I forget if someone submitted it or if I just lurked, save it, and am now showing it to all of you. I've got a few games to go over after this. Let's see, before I get started though, I will point out that after this game there will be 2 lectures remaining in... Oh, I didn't just do that. Yes, I did. There will be 2 lectures remaining in the fund, so if you wish to donate to more, I will have a link available to you right about now. If you wish to donate to more lectures, or if you just like the videos that I've been uploading, feel free to express that via donation. That being said, let's take a look at this game and see why it was immediately classified as a great candidate for my crazy game lecture. Immediately, we can see why this game classified for my crazy game lecture. Because hitting the 3-3, it's broken, seriously? Ugh. Oh, if you weren't broke. Okay, never mind. Sorry, misread. So immediately we see a 3Q deciding to play the 3-3 on the first move against Black's 4-4 stone. Now, I thought this might be too crazy even to go over. However, I did remember that I had a nice professional versus amateur series in which even a Taigem 7-dan did this. So I figure we're seeing it at the 7-dan level sometimes, we're sometimes seeing it in the Q levels. Let's go over it. Black played S15 and tried to kill. No, that would be really, really crazy. That would be responding to crazy with crazy, and that's not what I'm going for. I'm trying to go for answering things like this simply. How can you take something that's confusing you and essentially approach it in a calm and reasonable manner? That's what I'm going for with this. So we see Black do something at first very reasonable. He's just taking his influence, as you would expect. Nothing unusual there. White follows up his stealing of the 3-3 point with an attempt to rob Black of the influence he just obtained. So this is not unlike the At Night game we saw, where the amateur invaded the 3-3 point all over the place and then just tried to live in the center. It's essentially the same thing. So let's see what we have here. Black decides to extend from his influence. What's the problem with this idea? Anyone? It is very small, isn't it? He's saying, for one, that all of this right here, this nice little wall, is going to essentially be turned into a 3-point extension. So maybe he'll get a few points of territory here for the influence that he's, investing in this area. That's bad. We usually think about this even simply. Influence, you're trying to make territory with influence, might be doing something bad. I mean, granted, in every point in the game, your influence does have to turn into territory somehow. But this early, when there's literally nothing else on the board, I even would have been more happy seeing him decide to push that stone towards his wall and maybe try to attack it later or something. This early on the game, with literally nothing else on the board, I would have been a lot happier even with, taking another corner. That would have been fine too. Instead, he plays small and tries to take territory. Now, this is the first mistake. He's responding in a rather defensive measure against crazy moves. And that's what your opponent wants you to do when they're starting to play crazy. They want you to respond to everything they're doing. That way they can get away with it. If he just took a corner and said, okay, that's cute, you took my corner, You've got R10, which is giving you, no points. I'm going to take a corner for myself and get some more points. Even that would have been better. But alright. White says, haha, fell for it. I'm going to take a corner now. Which black immediately approaches. Again, he's responding directly to his opponent. I would still rather see a corner play. I mean, let's say we took a corner and white encloses. We take the other corner. We're happy with that, right? White's pretty much concentrated in the lower right-hand corner of the board. R12, not the greatest move ever, but it did set up for an invasion here later on because P10 is lacking, so that's cool too. That's something to think about as well. A couple of questions here. Now white will take the 3-3. Yeah, maybe. Can black... go back to here. Can black N18... okay, what's N18? There. Before D16. D16... Oh, the corner. Kind of got to be careful with that. If you play here before D16, I guess you're expecting to not respond to this cut point, which is okay. It's probably a good idea not to. But you are going to leave that behind. I would rather just take it, because I see no problem with my opponent trying to give me more influence and just crawl in second line. But alright, he responded now. No problem. He responded twice now to his opponent when there were larger moves in both instances on the board. White should be feeling very, very happy with his strategy at the moment. Pincers, small critique. I don't like it for white. I would rather simply defend my territory. But, alright, he's going to pressure. Black jumps up. White decides to kick. And now we have another problem. Because how is this actually helping black? Hasn't quite prevented him from going underneath his stone yet. Is trying to keep him low, though. Let's see how white handles this. Right. White's just going to go ahead and connect. Because if black descends here, he can still get his territory, which is what he wanted in the first place. Only now white's corner is stronger than if he responded by simply descending immediately. But black doesn't do that. He's going to try and cut off the R10 stone. Not a bad idea, not a bad idea. Difficult to do, though, because he does still have the ability to push on the right and as well as on bottom. I would rather just see either the defense or maybe if you're worried about that, and I can understand a lot of Qs are, I would even rather see a move like O3. That way, later on in the game you don't have to worry about this ever. I'd be fine with that too. I would also be okay with him either trying to change directions very, very simply, or even maybe more aggressively, as Ranchan has mentioned, and playing R5. That'd be nice too. Instead, he disconnects, tries to disconnect his opponent, doesn't work. His opponent's just going to connect right on up there. Since this is just kind of hitting our head into our opponent's stone, I really would rather not see that, though. Even if he had put more, indeed, it's a bit of a thank you move. I mean, not really accomplishing very much. You're forcing him to connect up. You're also going to give yourself a little bit of a liberty problem if you don't keep responding to this. If you play elsewhere, for example, well, bad shape here. Actually, there's going to be bad shape here, and there's going to be bad shape here. So if I was going to respond locally at all, I would even rather just put more pressure on that one stone, make certain that it's never going to get a base ever, ever, ever. Or maybe, well, no, I don't think this is strong enough to handle it. I think this is simply playing this directly. It's a little bit better. Progressing forward. Alright, now this is where things get really interesting, because white's jumping out. Okay, weak group running away. So, black's played a few slow moves so far, but as long as white has that weak group, we can still profit from this. Tries to make him heavy. Not gonna go into that right now. He made him heavy and then defended himself. I like that. He didn't make him heavy and then try and cap him or something. He is defending, trying to make certain that white can't simply, let's see, play elsewhere. Can't simply lean, for example, and get reasonable shape here, or just use the excuse to jump out further or something. Alright, I see where his thought process is coming from. And then white plays crazy again. He's probing a cut point when he's got a weak group that needs to run away. Is he really going to try and make this live? If so, we should be extremely happy as black, because then he'll have two weak groups to worry about. However, black again demonstrates the problem I was referring to. He connects when it's a little bit slow and there are larger moves to play on the board. For example, when I see this move, I see two things. I see that it is behind enemy lines. I see that my natural inclination is to kill it. And I see that I have a lot of Aji left, both in the middle and in the corner. So, well, right, you might be saying, you're right, I see what you're saying, that he's just trying to get Aji here. Unfortunately, I know how this game progresses, and I know that he's trying to actually live with this stone. So he's not actually trying, if he just played that as Aji and then maybe tried to sacrifice it in some fashion, that might have been a pretty good idea. Sure, why not? Use it to get shape for another group. That would probably be reasonable. Unfortunately, he's not trying to do that. He's actually, you're going to see in a minute what happens. But, Aji aside, I want to actually just kill this stone. Because I think that it's an overplay. I don't think this probe is valid, and I think it deserves to die. Now, we can keep it behind enemy lines immediately with a shoulder hit. The only trouble there is his opponent is probably going to over-concentrate that immediately. And now we're not looking so good. Which is also why I like trying to find ways that I can make myself stronger before... No. Even if he was just trying to use this as Aji, I'd still respond differently. Because like I mentioned, my first move in response to this is to kill it off. Because for the reasons I stated, it's behind enemy lines. I don't see any way this can be a threat. I mean, if you cut here, how are you going to live? It's a little bit ridiculous to think that this is ever going to be able to do anything. However, I don't like the Aji at S16. So my first move would be to use the Aji of the corner. Say, okay, you can cut me, and I'm going to kill you if you do it. Because if white lets black get this move in, the chances of living just decrease dramatically. So we know that this is going to be pressure. I prefer S18, yeah. This gets a little bit more complicated because you're going to lose the stone, I guess. So yeah, this is not something that white wants to see, because then he'll have not one weak group, not two weak groups, but 3 whole weak groups on the board. We can't allow that. No, I don't think E12 is very good either. Just, yeah. So if we play here, white's going to respond in one direction or the other. Probably here to just live and not have a headache anymore. At which point we can kill this off. If this does anything, it doesn't matter. The stone's dead. It's not going to go anywhere, and the Aji that it might even find to be of use is very, very slim. So those 3 stones in the center have to find another way to live. White can Q13 before cutting. What's Q13? Here, okay, and then here, okay. I don't see how that changed. Because we still got the 3 liberties, right? And if we move, we're still in a lot of trouble. So we're not disconnected. I guess we can try and play something like this. But not enough liberties. I mean, we can try and push and cut through. But that's still going to die? I actually could probably just do this, huh? So yeah, that doesn't go anywhere. So I immediately don't like just the connection here, because he's following that same habit that he's been going with for the rest of the game, in that he's immediately responding to his opponent's somewhat crazy ideas when he's not taking time out to find out how to strengthen himself first, for example this, or finding out if there's a larger move to play earlier, like we saw with the corners. And that's exactly what his opponent wants him to do. He wants him to respond pretty much locally to everything he puts on the board. So that's what you got to be careful of. So here we go. Got a weak group here. He jumps out. I still like this. It ensures you can't be disconnected ever, and it puts pressure on the corner. And yes, you saw N15. Like I mentioned, he's trying to run away with it. White attempts a disconnection. Black fights back a bit. KGS lags, there we go. This is odd. Him cutting through and taking. I mean, this would be sufficient. Well, not even that. Playing something else would be sufficient. Going back to this, again, I like. Just connecting solidly, making certain that these 2 groups are never going to connect, that your 2 groups are nicely connected. Not giving white a chance to go back and play something like this and disconnect everything and really making a mess on the board. All of these I like. So black realizes this, can't allow himself to be disconnected, so he connects up. Alright, that's good. I'm reiterating a broken record. I like this a little bit better because it's got fewer shape problems. We'll actually see if this is connected or not in a second, because white thought that he could disconnect it as well. So he throws in, and then he goes away, but we'll get there in a second. But now that one group is sort of out and not behind enemy lines, he tries to help his other group. Yep, there it is. If he actually tries to connect, then his other group's going to be in trouble. So this requires a lot of reading. I mean, you can't actually disconnect this, because if you connect, it's going to connect under. If he drops down, you're disconnected. And now your corner's also in trouble, so bad all around. But white gets a larger corner out of this, which, you know, is something, I guess. White's probing. Black gets to connect up, but he does lose a lot out of this. Black gets to connect up, but his stones now are really in a lot of trouble, as well as did Black need to S10? Well, if he didn't S10, oh, I see what you're saying. Enough liberties to just cut off and kill that. If white plays here, you're saying, we can't do this, right? Yeah. Yeah, so white does get away with... Yeah, I completely missed that. You're right, he could have. He could have just connected, then what? Well, actually, even this is kind of okay. Because if white connects, and then black has to connect, then we're under attack again. So I think white would be happy with this too. But anyway, avoided that, simply gave up his stone, trying to get some shape here. Gave up 2 stones that weren't really helping him anyway, in order to try to stabilize. Unfortunately, he can't disconnect white anymore, but oh well. As we see here. So white gets to jump out. Now the game progresses for a little bit. White tries a few different things, or black tries a few different things. Kind of makes his life a little bit annoying, but the important part is he's in a good position again. He managed to actually cut off white, and now he has a bunch of influence and a weak group again. So suddenly, white got away with a lot, but it looks like that black is in a really good position again. And now that he's in a good position again, he starts playing slow. That's a problem. It's letting his opponent get back into the game. He should either be taking one of the empty corners, or, as previously mentioned, attack the top. I would rather just take an empty corner. Because if my opponent wants to, live with this, fine. I'll just take everything else. I don't think it's at the position yet where I have to kill those stones. But alright, white sees all this influence, so of course he's going to try and reduce it all. And black is again responding locally instead of doing other things like taking the available corners, which are still very, very large, because his groups are fine. I mean, his groups aren't going to suddenly die. Every one of them's alive. So he has no reason not to just go for the larger points. But he's again getting wrapped up and responding locally to his opponent. So finally starts doing that. His opponent again steals the corner, but it gives more influence to his opponent. And from this board, I don't think black should be able to lose. Because he's got a tremendous amount of influence and, once again, not 1, but 2 weak groups to attack. That's a problem. His opponent realizes it and tries to start living again. And black makes the mistake of allowing him to. Keeping weak groups disconnected is so important, especially if your opponent's being crazy and trying to live everywhere. Just keep those groups separated. They'll tend to themselves. But because he let them connect up, that's 1 group gone. And at that point, it's a question of can he actually kill this group in the center. Unfortunately, he's not quite up to the task, because again, he's responding locally. There's no possible way that 1 stone can die. He should be going after shape. I mean, even if it can't die. Where is that other eye going to come from? But he's responding locally. And again, just wherever his opponent plays a move, we see the exact same thing. He just keeps playing over there. So it's no surprise that this group also lives. So yeah, his opponent played a very, very crazy game, but between the slow moves and constantly responding to everything his opponent was doing, he completely got away with it, even though over and over and over again, he should not have. So that's what qualified this as a crazy game to go over. Now, I do have another one. Well, keep in mind, USF, you say it will stop working. But remember, there was a Taigem 7 Dan who was doing something similar to this. So chances are, unless you're going to be a 7 Dan or stronger, it's a good chance you might see this throughout your entire Go playing career. So it's really, really good to have an idea of what to respond with. Now, that said, I do have two other games to go over. I'm going to go over, let's see, this one actually took a while longer than I thought it was going to. I'm going to go over my third game before my second game. If the person who is actually here is listening to this, they know what I mean, so you should pay attention. I'm going to close this and open up another game. Let's see, where are it? And those of you who are watching on Twitch or on YouTube later, that is my YouTube channel. Where am I? File, upload, SGF. Let's get this going here. And there we go. Alright, so this time some of you may recognize the name Inazuma from my KGS series. She also played a game, this time against a 2Q, a little bit stronger than the last game, in which she played a crazy opponent. And unfortunately, she too kind of succumbed to the same problems that we saw in the previous game. So let's check out some of those things. Now, this game, he took a corner. He didn't do 3-3. Wow. Immediately different, but still a little crazy. Everything's normal up so far. Approach a corner. Nope, not same guy. Corner got approached. Simple pincer, nothing. Yep, still running. I didn't stop. I just switched to a different screen while I was setting up a new game. But yeah, close pincer. Pretty easy to respond to. Unfortunately, black does make... Darn it, that's not responding anymore. Black does make a little bit of a mistake here and decides to try to make this really, really complicated by pincering. Unfortunate. Easier Joseki is just to attach and settle. This is the one that I usually teach my students because it's almost impossible to go wrong. You can get a nice stable position here. You're not going to be harassed. You do have a group that you can attack later if they don't defend these these four stones on the bottom. Ian is not actually in the call, sorry. What was I about to say? Right, unless these stones are defended in some way, you can attack these. If they are defended, then you've got other things you can do, like maybe pressure this group, make sure that's not going to go anywhere. Take a framework, do whatever. Pretty easy, right? Unfortunately, again, pincered. now we've got unusual moves from both players. We've got white pincering the pincer that's pincering his pincer, essentially. A little bit unusual. Trying to sacrifice it, I guess. Okay, okay. Usually we would expect to see something maybe like a jump here, though that can get really, really ugly. So this is probably a bit better of an idea. But then black decides to try and strengthen against this corner, which is clearly alive. Interesting idea. Only we can see here that there's instantly a cut available, since that corner is in fact alive. So black can make this really, really complicated. Or white can make this really, really complicated, rather. Simpler, just try and kill off the stone. I like that a bit better. You pincered. White says, no interest in running at that stone. Alright, make certain it can't then. Pretty easy. So we're getting a little bit complicated here. And we have to juggle a bunch of weak groups now. So instantly this game is a bit of a headache. White descends, a bit of a slow move. I mean, maybe the Hane, but if you're uncertain of your reading, just jump out. Not high, that would be bad. If you do high, this is going to get cut, and your opponent is going to be very, 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 very happy because that middle group is not going to fear for its life ever again. I mean, there's no point where you can ideally play these moves in a realistic fashion, because now you're surrounding your group on the bottom. The right one's not alive yet. I mean, this is just going from bad to worse at this point, if you're trying to save the cutting stones while you're trying to live on multiple places at once. So chances are this is just going to try and live, I guess. That stone's going to be killed, and maybe if you're lucky you'll get Sensei to go back and deal with N4. I mean, this might even still be a playable game. Unfortunately, a bit of a slow move here. So white tries to surround. Hane, a little bit unreasonable as well. Can't really Hane and expect to do anything. We have to back off, because that cut simply doesn't work, as we see here. The minute black cuts, we have no good response. If we extend this stone, well, clearly that's going to die. If we, I don't know, what else can we possibly do? Play here, then that's going to die. Is there anything else that we can do? I mean, play here and then extend this, I guess. But, you know, that doesn't work either, because now there are stones that are about to get killed again. We can't defend both sides at once. So, alright. Bit of a mistake there by white. Black gets to settle very, very happily. This, unfortunately, doesn't quite work. That's a ko. But it's a ko that's happy for black. This is now a very good game for black, because white doesn't want to just try to live this way on the count that he can't. He has to ko for life. So all black has to do is strengthen. White has to take. That's completely on white. I mean, even a simple move like playing Sanrinsei would be really, really great to do here. Because white didn't really get very much on the right-hand side. Black got a free move in the beginning of the game and gets to continue expanding, which is very nice. Very nice indeed. Fine, just because USF said that. Play K17 instead. More territorial opening. There we go. Don't make me delete this recording. Anyway, white attaches, or black attaches. Pretty good co-threat. And now we're starting to settle off into a fairly simple game again, in which black's getting influence, white's getting territory, there's some Aji remaining. Bit of a misread there for white, I guess. Didn't realize the ladder was quite there. Same thing here. Minor critique. I'd rather just extend, I think, than take. But alright. Black's getting a lot of influence. White's alive. Though I don't think white needed this move just yet, because we kind of have Mii here. Go away. Here we go. If this cut wasn't available, then yeah, we would have to play there again, or we would be killed. But right now, if we play away and black tries to, kill us, then I guess black is trying to go for another ko. And there's still threats on the board. Or we don't even have to do that, actually. We don't even have to go to ko now to think about it. Forget the ko. Who cares about the ko? We can just play here. So what? No more ko. What's black gonna do now? Connect under? That's Gote. We can play elsewhere again. So yeah, bit of a problem there. Didn't have to respond, but oh well. However, now we see white being a little bit crazy, because we see black having a lot of influence. We see these cutting stones, which not really all that important right now, since both sides are kind of alive. We're more interested in maybe reducing the top, or getting tool, there we are. Maybe taking advantage of the fact that this group only has 3 liberties, something along those lines. Instead, he decides to run out these cutting stones. A little bit unusual. Black responds. In this case, sure. Makes sense. That, unfortunately, not such a great move. Allows white to take a bit more for himself, but that's fine. This is all fine. We've got some more influence for ourselves. Pretty stable, too. Black strengthens themselves. Okay. And now this is where the crazy really begins to take hold, because white, I think, sees that the territory on the right is kind of small, since it's, sort of second line, not much there. The left, some of it second line, we've got some third, a very brief instance of fourth, but not too much territory there either. And then we've got this crazy center that he suddenly feels that he needs to reduce. So he's going to try and do everything all at once. So he tries to split off the top immediately, okay. Tries to insert in that that's not going to be an enclosure, I guess, which black ignores. I like this. Put more pressure on the top. So now we have a stone on the top, which I guess is going to reduce. We have a stone on the right, which is making certain that it's not an enclosure there to extend off of to M17. Next order of business, live in the middle. So right now, white's making this game a lot harder for himself. He should be a bit more patient. First order of business, just live here. Make a nice shape that's not going to have any worries. And from there, if you really want into the center, you can probably find a way to get stronger in the middle to risk something around Tengen, if you still want to reduce this. Instead, White is being a little bit crazy and trying to do everything all at once. And once again, Black's immediately responding. Now, this move in and of itself, I don't really mind. It's directly trying to take as much of the bottom territory as possible. I don't think that's bad. They're saying everything below the 8th line is mine. I can't really say that's being greedy. It is using influence for territory, but that's the 8th line territory. I can't really call that very overconcentrated. That's kind of huge. I mean, we've got 2 potential corners and then 8th line on the bottom. So that's enormous. Now, if you wanted to be a bit more aggressive, you could say instead, I'm going to split your stones. You can't connect this stone up to your K17 stone. And once again, if we count, we have to be very, very careful here that we don't wind up giving 8th line territory to our opponent again. Because if we just work against this stone to get out, let's just do something quick and crude here. Whatever, that's alive. There, connect it up. Well, that's huge in and of itself, because the top is suddenly becoming very, very strong. So you tried to reduce the 8th line territory on the bottom, and you wound up giving the 8th line territory up on the top. So that could be fine. As multiple people have pointed out, contacting weak stones, yeah, usually a bad thing. I say usually because in Go, one of the annoying parts of the game is that anytime you actually say, it is always bad, you're going to find like 50 examples on where it wasn't. And here can be an example. I mean, you're just taking a lot of territory for yourself. The stone's going to get stronger, but it's still very large. So, it's fine. In my book, anyway. So, White says, right, I'm reducing the top, I've reduced you on the right, I've reduced you in the middle, now I'm going to make sure that I'm going to reduce you on the left as well. He's literally trying to do 4 things at once, which is slightly crazy. You cannot possibly hope to do 4 things at once. Living with one group, okay, sure. You get to play 1 stone each of your turns. If one group is in trouble, you know that group is in trouble. You can respond to that group. It's probably going to live. 2 groups in trouble. Now we're in a lot of trouble because we can only play 1 move on our turn. So we can't defend both simultaneously, therefore one thing is always going to be weaker than we want it to be. That's how things generally die. You go beyond that and you just kind of start scratching your head. It's like, what are you trying to do? But alright, he obviously feels behind still and he's trying to do everything at once. Black responds, okay. I probably would not have. I probably would have responded by making certain that my group here is going to be completely fine. There's no Aji. There's no way this is ever going past the 8th line. All of that is mine. The end. If I get reduced in the corner, that's okay. There's still 1 open available. I can secure that. The middle K17 stone, still very, very weak. We can still do something there. But alright. Black kicks, White responds. Now definitely I would either play this or that center idea again. I like any of these ideas. Instead, Black makes the mistake that we saw on the left-hand side, where we're kind of starting to respond to everything our opponent's doing again, and we really don't want to do that. It's like, what has our opponent not responded to? Let's follow that up before we do anything new. Did our opponent respond or not respond to, let's say, us approaching their stone twice? Okay, maybe we should play there again. Did our opponent not respond to our attachment? Was it a good idea? If so, maybe we should respond to that again. So I'd rather follow that up instead of going off and doing anything new. And this is kind of going off and doing something new. And I'd rather not do that until we went back and dealt with some of the other things instead. Mm-hmm. Indeed, Chachi, that's correct. But as a general rule, I would prefer those other ideas. So White goes back and tries to reduce the center again. Black responds strong. It's like, look, those stones, whatever. I'm just going to kill them. Alright, sure. Cuts the stone off. I even kind of like this idea as well, because we're dividing white into two parts. So we're going to get strong somewhere, and that'll probably be good for us. White commits. Little bit too severe. I'd rather strengthen my bottom stone. I mean, if this is where white wants to really get those, that eye shape, I'm still not certain if that's going to even be possible. I mean, can we really get one eye here? Maybe, I guess. There's one eye that we can't go after, we can't do anything about. But getting both, again, if we try it, we're kind of going back in the same thing that I mentioned earlier, where we're getting stronger in the center, which is just going to be good for us, right? Because we're going to be able to get the middle. So even this, I think, isn't too bad for black. Unfortunately, this clamp is huge. With this, I think white's pretty much guaranteed to live locally now, which shouldn't really have happened, but oh well. There's still a lot of other things that we can still do, because remember, white was trying to do 4 things at once. So as long as black gets Sente here, there's still 2 other things that we can follow up on. It's unfortunate, and it actually starts making us really, really afraid. Because with this territory gone, where is our profit coming from? Suddenly we feel that we absolutely have to profit or probably kill something else on the board because we need the points. Poke, poke, poke. I think that's pretty well alive. So black follows up against the 2 stones. Sure, sure. Tries to strengthen himself. Okay. Unfortunately, he's leaving a little bit of Aji behind. I'd rather make certain there's nothing really white could do to attach to get shape from. Which he tries immediately, yeah. Running away with a small knight, always a great idea if you want to be cut. Black should just strengthen and prepare for that cut. And here, again, celebration time. White is not going to let that stone go at K17. Oh, no, 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 no. We're going to try to make both groups live simultaneously. Black's got a really, really great chance to win this game brilliantly now. Because we cannot, as I mentioned earlier, we cannot look after both groups at once. So, of course, White's going to try. And black tries to make white heavy. Alright, sure, why not? I think I probably would have just allowed white to surround himself naturally, because there's got to be a jump here. And then any sort of follow is just going to surround one or the other, but this is fine too. This is fine too. I'm just nitpicking. Whatever. Stays connected, makes some shape. Trying to cut through, okay, we don't want that. Defends, good, got it. Ouch. Allows white to cut. This just got complicated. cuts. Now, right now, there's one thought that's going through my head. And that's, I don't care if this group live, if these 2 stones live, I just don't want to die with those 3 stones. So I'd probably do, I don't know, something like this, just to ensure that I'm alive. I do not care what those stones do in the corner. I mean, they can try and live. I'm just going to make certain that I'm nice and strong. Because if I get to kill something in the middle, which is pretty much assured now that those stones are horribly in trouble, then it's going to be an easy game. Instead, this gets a little bit complicated because there's no real way to kill those stones. That empty triangle just doesn't give you enough liberties. So those are sacrificed. But they're sacrificed in Sente for black. So all we need to do now, defend ourselves. Make certain that territory on top is going to be ours and is going to remain ours forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Of course, there is one minor thing you could also do if you really want to feel really aggressive here. Well, actually, no, it doesn't work. Doot, doot, doot. Doot. Doot, 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 doot. I was going to say that this isn't quite alive yet. But, yeah, it looks like this actually still works for the moment. So we might still be able... I said it's not alive yet. That's not quite alive yet. I thought it was for a second, but it's not. That is what I was dooting about. Oh, maybe I misspoke. I don't know. It's possible. But yeah, this is not quite alive yet, but right now I'm not even interested in killing it, to be honest. I think if black plays here to kill the center, and white says, oh, I need to live here, and black simply takes the territory, that's probably going to be enough. That'll probably be enough territory, because where's white's? I mean, white's got some second line, a little bit of third. That's about it. So white or black tries that idea kind of just on a really, really large scale that leaves a lot of Aji behind, unfortunately. Simpler move, just make certain that there's little Aji that they can work against. You're strong in the middle, good to go. Instead kind of plays elsewhere, so now we've got move on top. We've also got attachments now if we don't play them. So we can start making some shape here, which is a little unfortunate. Not certain it's going to live yet, but it's really going to get some pretty easy shape without too much hassle. A bit of a bad direction on that one. Should have blocked the other way. But this group should definitely die. Oh yeah, of course, 3-3. Remember, crazy. Just respawn nice and strong, kill off the center, we're good to go. I mean, white knows that he's in trouble. He's in no territory yet. Which is why he's still invading like a madman. He knows the state of the game. And now this is the problem. This is what really makes us frustrated. Because now it really does feel like we have to kill this. If we don't, we're in trouble. Because we have no territory either now. Because we've allowed white to get away with way too much. On the bright side, it shouldn't be all that difficult. I mean, we can make certain that this is really not going to be any kind of shape to worry about, and we can keep it from connecting. So, it should be fine. We should probably be able to kill this. Oops, back to here. Right, white pushes through, disconnects black. That is something that we also could not allow. mean, this is still very hard to get a solid eye from. And however, black actually does fairly well here. Black actually does fairly well indeed. Gets quite a few liberties, manages to maximize best as possible, get rid of some eye shape for our opponent, and somehow we wind up in this Ko. Unfortunately, it's not really a Ko that we can win, because that's taken, sure, but how are you ever going to Atari? Most you can really do in this game right now is, go away, fight for this Ko, I guess, and see if you can get anything working there, but that's going to go to a double Ko as well, and then that's just going to take there, and then white will take back, and so not very good there, not very good at all. But play it for a second, then white or black realizes, oh, this can get killed, and by virtue of that still manages to win the game, because that kill is just absolutely enormous. Despite the depth in the upper right, the left is still larger. So a bit of a crazy game. Gave white a couple of chances, should not have really have had. Responded to him a little bit too much, played a few small moves. Because that left-hand group, yeah. But yeah, played a few small moves, played a little bit, followed our opponent a little bit around the board too much. So it really turned a bit tense over here, just because of this last flight on the left that managed to actually still win this game. And even then, I mean, some things actually died that probably shouldn't have. Let's see, it's 9 o'clock actually. Huh. I do have one other game I wanted to go over. Should I go over that one? Which one was it? How much of this game... Oops, go away. How much of this game that I actually want to go over? Let me look at something real quickly here. That's now on video. That's okay, that's fine. Oh well. Let's see, how much of this did I want to go over? Right. There was quite a few things I wanted to go over about this. Alright. Yeah, I'm talking to the programs you can't see. I think I will go over this last game a little bit quicker than I did the other ones, but it still has some very interesting examples of crazy moves and how to respond to them. So it's going to be a little bit longer than my lectures usually are, but those of you who want to take a look at it, I will close this board and open up another one. Let's see. This is going to be a fairly long lecture, apparently, those of you watching later on YouTube. Let's see, where was my room? It doesn't matter where my room was. Upload SGF to the Enclave. There we go. I said it's unfinished. Huh. Alright. So, now we have a little bit stronger game to go over. This time it's a 1-dan versus a 1Q game. Interesting. But still a little bit crazy. So we have a normal opening. Chinese really can't get much more normal than that. Yes, white apparent. Well, no, you don't know if white didn't greet. Actually, yeah, that's from an observer. Sorry. So yeah, can't get much more normal than low Chinese. Bit more normal to approach either from this side or take an enclosure. But, this is fine too. Sets up a framework. Black tries to expand and plays a 2-space extension. Huh. That's not something we see very often. Curious how to respond to the 2-space extension from a 2-space pincer. That's more of a 3-4 Joseki than a 4-4 Joseki. So, it's a little unusual. It's sometimes seen, but it's a little bit unusual. We're going to get to it in a minute. We could try and fight through it. White takes a simple approach, simply does a little 1-space. Sure, why not? Black makes white stronger. I don't think we're into Joseki anymore. This is now turning very, very bizarre. Because there's really no reason to make your opponent stronger. I mean, you're giving away the option of playing the 3 later on, and you're just giving 4th line territory to your opponent. So it's a little weird. But, okay, we can see why he did it. He did it because he wants to get something a little bit more there so he can pincer. Okay. That, I can see the thought process behind that. But this, on the other hand, it tells me that white is a little bit confused. He's not really certain what black is doing with the 2-space extension and the pincer. And now he attaches. Alright. If you find yourself in a similar position, not really certain what we're doing, like we see here, making your opponent stronger, probably not what you're looking for. If we just take advantage of the weaknesses that are here, for example, we can make shape and get out pretty easily. Even go back maybe later on and make certain that this is never ever connecting. Instead, he's just hurting his pincer. Because black is going to respond to this, most definitely. But it's also going to make black stronger at the same time. We don't really want to do that. So unfortunately, white was obviously a little bit confused, and he responded poorly. He's responding exactly as black wants him to. He's making him stronger. So black's like, okay, I'll make this exchange. Absolutely, I'll get some shape here. White has a choice now on what to do. Black did not, in fact, do what I thought he was going to do, and simply make shape and defend, which would have ruined D9's chances of doing anything ever again, or at least for a large portion of the game. Instead, he plays away, trying to get more influence. And we know why. He's got a framework. He wants more influence because he wants everything. Should probably, I would suggest maybe the clamp. I would definitely consider that, because no real good responses for black, right? I mean, if we connect, there's going to be Aji there. We can still escape. There's a small knight, so we can potentially cut that later. Might be able to play it. Sure. Reducing at J17 also seems like it's possible. Begin reducing this from the 3-4 stone instead. Can get shaped there pretty easy. We still have the clamp, and if black says no you don't, then we're just going to get Sente again. So we're still in a fairly even game, I think. Instead, white responds locally. Not so good, in my opinion. It's giving black options now to enclose, which is huge. I mean, it's got extensions on both sides. Kind of enormous. Black continues to try to build up because he is a very, very, very greedy, influential player. So white attaches again. Huh. Again, I would prefer lightly reducing from the third line, or capping the third line rather. Going back to the variation I just showed, get some nice flexible shape here, and then worry about reducing later, the rest of it later if we have to. Too small to clamp now. Now we have to reduce this before black actually encloses, or does something even larger. Instead, white attaches. Painful move. Because this, mark, there we go. This group here is pretty large. It's going to keep extending. It already has extended. See you, Unorthodox. It already has extended. So it's not really in too much trouble yet. It's already done some jumping out. Granted, there's some small knights. Yeah, granted, we can cut those. But it's not in a lot of danger. So if black just says, okay, I will be more than happy to make everything above these stones nice and strong. That's pretty good for black. It's pretty good for black. Black goes super aggressive and cuts this to ribbons instead. White, on the other hand, tries to fight back. He should focus on what he's obviously attempting to do, is to attack, this group here, because if he plays something like, I don't know, this, maybe it'll be okay. I don't think so, but I mean, there's Aji there at the very least, I guess. I don't know. At the moment, it's both. Both are being really, really crazy. It's just who's going to take it that step further. I mean, black's playing crazy by leaving, one, a lot of Aji behind, and a bunch of small knights that he really should not be getting away with. The fact that he got away with this one is brilliant. He now has to enclose and be happy with the rest of the game, because you can't ask for a framework larger than this. You really can't. Not unless we get, I don't know, Tengen in there somehow as well. You really can't ask for a larger framework. Instead, he's being too greedy, and he tried to push it too far, which ideally should have let white start to reduce this. White's playing a little bit crazy because he's confused on how to respond to frameworks, I think. He's attaching here, which isn't really what's vital right now. It's the top. And as we can see here, things have gone bad. Black's pretty strong. White's groups are in trouble. Black gets to cut out. White's now just trying to make some shape, which black should be happy to do. Just take something off in the center. A little bit of a mistake there. No reason not to completely enclose this group because it's not alive yet. Instead, he's kind of trying to attack everything all at once. So it's a bit bad. It's a bit bad. Both players have their crazy moments. Goes back and remembers. White says, right, I do need to live here. Good point. I'm going to live. And starts enclosing the top. Now, really the only thing we can do here, unfortunately, besides resign as white, is live in the middle. We need to jump out again, because that's enormous. We need that stone. That stone is very, very important to us. Instead, white invades. So what do we need to do here as black? Because white has one-upped us. He's played crazier than we are. All he has to do now is keep white unsettled. There's a weak group in the middle. If we can push this stone out to the middle, we're going to be even happier as black. Instead, he kind of tries to deny the access to the center, which is not really what we're looking for. I would like this move. Just get that thing running out. Because instantly you're going to find a move that attacks both at the same time. And he can't respond to both of them. At this point, I would just cry and resign, because there's nothing I can do. I've got groups that need to live in too many places. So that's not going to quite work out. Instead, a little bit of a slack play here. White gets to start making a little bit of a shape, though white is making very heavy moves. But it should be fine. White's trying to get out. Okay, let's assume that white is out. Let's go back and even start pressuring this group. Would be completely fine, because we can see that it's really, really difficult for this to make any shape whatsoever. Can it even make one eye? No, not really, because we can poke that one out too. So, very, very simple way to win this game. But he's responding to his opponents. He gets a splitting attack, though. He does get the splitting attack. So white tries to live. Immediately, bell goes off in your head. I got a splitting attack. He's crazy in trying to make everything live at once. So what's the last thing he didn't respond to? And that's the life and death status of the top group. Right, okay. Keep it surrounded. Alright, we got it. Should be fine for us now. Unfortunately, a bit of a problem here. Starting to make shape. That's not so good. So the question is, could we have responded to that any differently? And the answer is not really. I mean, we could play this, I guess, but this is going to let him get out and live. And if you keep trying to do this, you're going to die. So we clearly can't block that one off. P16. You're getting a little bit of trouble there. But I guess you might be fine. I mean, that does live. Alright. Well, but then there's this again. Oh, well, not really. Well, yeah, really. I mean, how do you handle that? That cut point is too bad. Yeah. No, can't do that either. So how are we responding to that? Unfortunately, not a whole lot we can do. It looks like that's going to live. This move, unfortunately, should not have been played. And the reason, what really shouldn't have been played, though, is that attachment. It's why you typically don't see it in pro games, because they know that this is a huge move to get, and they're going to need to respond to it. And if they start playing something like this, it's just more and more forcing moves that they don't want to give up, which is why they see something that a lot of Cube players kind of worry about. They see moves like this, and which Cube players don't like because that little poke right there, they're deathly afraid of it, even though, like in this case, for example, don't have to be because there's nothing that really can happen here. So that's why we see this a lot. Or we even sometimes see this a lot, just to make certain that by attaching, we're not giving all of those forcing moves away that we see in this game. So that's unfortunate. Right idea, though, just bad play. But alright, what's the score here? We have an absolutely enormous corner in the upper left-hand side. Alright, that's good for black. We've got a corner in the top. I'm not really certain how many points are there yet, but we have influence and like infinity ways to reduce the right-hand side. So where's white's territory coming from? White's territory right now is coming from lower left, and that's it. That's it. That's all he really has. Top, not worth anything. Left, not worth anything. Corner, don't know what that's worth yet either. So, sure. Okay, fine. Who cares? You got to live. Congratulations. But you're probably still behind, so unfortunate. And the middle is still not completely dead yet, because we can do really, really fun things like peep. And we established this is not an eye. So we can still attack this. And I would probably rather have seen white or black do that instead than invade here. But okay, black invades, sure, why not? Bit greedy. This is a move that we play when we say, I don't mind either getting influence or living here. But a wall here doesn't really make much sense, so I think I'd rather just extend off and be happy. Sente, uh-oh. White has every opportunity now to make certain that this group is never going to get in trouble. But he plays away. Says, you know what, you can't kill me in the middle, which is not true. And he takes up territory in the corner. So now we have a problem. If that lives, and there's territory here, black's falling behind. And again, the mistake that we mentioned earlier, following your opponent around the board. Oh no, he's taking territory and doing something else. I'm going to keep responding to him. That is the thought that you want to punch to death as hard as you can. If you start hearing that thought going off in your head, don't listen to it. It's working for your opponent. Instead, you should be like, okay, you've taken the corner. By the way, are you alive here? Because last time I checked, you don't have any eyes yet. So, should definitely poke this group. I mean, if this actually dies, this is enormous. It's going to be more than enough to win, because that is huge. We've got a large corner on the left, the right, and now that center is just grown enormously. This one isn't, because I can see ways that it can live, and I can see its disrupting shape. So instead, we're going to live, and it's probably going to be in Gote. No, I didn't say that she's wrong. I just said that one's not one of the ones that are bad. I mean, granted, it might be unnecessary, I guess. I'm just playing safe to make certain that it can die. Because I noticed that we still have, forcing moves here that I don't want to have to deal with, and I don't want this starting lead to get, eye shape. So I'm just going to poke all that out immediately. Alright, so we're trying to live in the corner. Trying to live in the corner. Not a good move there. We should block here, let that get taken. Sente for white. Huzzah. Instead, we kind of pushed him out. Okay, that's good. Blocking off that corner. It's ours again. Or at least we've completely destroyed it. No one actually physically has T1 anymore. But unfortunately, that means that black gets to keep coming out and getting more territory. So that's a bit unusual. Drops down. I guess white was threatened about connection. Exactly what I was about to point out. Yeah, we can immediately start poking at this and ask another question. How are you going to live? Which is a great thing to ask. Even if it does live, who cares? Because you're getting these moves in the center all over again. So we're still surrounding that middle group. White runs to it. Okay, this is what we're looking for. He's uncertain of how he's going to live. Just, do some poking and make certain they can never ever join up. One of them will die. But black jumps the gun, immediately tries to kill one, and then backs away. He's worried about his own connection. If I was worried about my connection, I would play here. Threaten to connect in the top or something. But he backed away. He's playing slow. His opponent takes advantage of that instantly. And from here, we have unfortunate problems. We've got a Ko. Wait a minute, that was ignored? What? Did you really ignore that? Doot, doot. 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 Okay, I see. 'Cause that's, yeah. Alright. You really ignored that one. Got it. Because the idea here is that if we play something like this, it's, I guess, gonna go and do a Ko again, I suppose? Is the idea there? Because if we connect, I mean, we can kill that. That doesn't really matter, because it's not really just Huh? No? Because then just 19, and then we have two eyes, yeah? L19 instead of N17. What was N17? Oh, wait. That, and then that. Oh, yeah, duh, that works. Okay, so I wasn't hallucinating. That does work. Yeah, so his move was a good one, but he backed away. He was playing too slow and let his opponent get away with murder again. But alright, we have another group here that's still not alive yet. We can play severely, poke out that eye shape that he can potentially make, and make certain that that's going to die. Unfortunately, he backed off there too a bit. So now we might even be able to make shape here. Okay. Going for that kill. And again, responding when we don't need to. All we need to do now is make certain that this is not going to enlarge. If this eye space doesn't enlarge, there's nothing that he can do. He's simply dead. But we're responding again. We are responding. And at that point, yeah, you can see where this is going pretty quickly. Managed to get two eyes. So instead of this being a really, really easy game, I think I saved this game before they actually scored it, but you can see from the end that it was pretty close. So yeah, a few examples of some interesting games that I came across where people played crazy and responded either slow or by following them all around the board. Two things that you really, really don't want to do normally in a normal game. But if people are blatantly overplaying and just playing a whole bunch of crazy moves, you so don't want to do it then. Otherwise, they're going to get away with all of it, and that's just not good. let's see, a couple of things I want to go over. Next lecture, I intend to have a format similar to this, though instead of going over crazy moves again, I want to go over something a bit simpler. I want to go over shoulder hits. I want to see, preferably, you guys to send in games where either you used them to reduce, you used them to attack, they either went well or did not go well. Any of those criteria, essentially. I would like to see a game featuring that. If you have such a game or you play such a game the next week, go ahead and email it to me at akari@zoominternet.net. And if I like it, I will be using it in next week's week after next lecture, rather. So I hope you guys enjoyed the new format. Don't know if I'm going to continue it or not, but I thought it was fun. 2 weeks, or week after next, again at the same time, Wednesday, yeah. And of course, if you want to donate to either the lectures, or if you just want to show your appreciation for the videos that I put out on YouTube, you're more than welcome to do so by donating at the link I just provided. Again, same email that I mentioned, akari@zoominternet.net. We are down to 2 more lectures. And let's see, anything else to go over? No, I don't think so. So unless there are any questions, then I will see you all next time. My YouTube is... What is my YouTube? My YouTube is not under the same name, actually. When I first made my YouTube, I did not imagine I was ever going to do it for... Oh, you beat me to it. Great. I did not ever imagine I was actually going to be using it for Go, and as a result, I use a different name I usually go by. But now I am, so cool, I guess. Well, I first began using it for SimCity, and then I began using it for Cities XL, so yeah.